Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. We are going to start the course for Public Administration of CSS and PMS. We will go through a comparative overview of the syllabus for CSS and PMS. Here we can see the syllabus description of CSS and PMS Part 1 and Part 2. As we can see that all the 9 chapters of PMS Part 1 are overlapping with CSS syllabus, while 2 chapters of PMS Part 2 are overlapping with CSS syllabus. And one chapter of administrative law highlighted in red is not included either in PMS Part 1 or PMS Part 2. So here are the contents of first chapter of CSS and PMS Public Administration. It is public administration definition, concepts, approaches, and context, which includes definitions, roles, and scopes of public administration in society, issues in public administration, theory and practice, core values of public administration, traditional public administration, new public management, new public service, governance approach to public administration, Islamic concept of public administration, while historical roots of public administration in Pakistan is not included in PMS Chapter 1. So here is the second chapter of CSS Public Administration, Public Organization, Classical and Contemporary Theories and Concepts. The contents include bureaucracy, scientific management, leadership, motivation and network, governance, strategic management, public choice, administrative culture, types of organizational structure, organization of federal, provincial and local government in Pakistan, administrative culture of Pakistan. All these contents are overlapping with PMS syllabus, while the last heading, which is intergovernmental relations at federal and provincial level in Pakistan, is a complete chapter in PMS Part 2. Here is the third chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is Public Policy Planning, Implementation and Evaluation. The contents include strategic planning and management, planning process, policy analysis, policy implementation, program evaluation, planning machinery, role of donors and international institutions in public policy and management. All these contents are overlapping with the syllabus of PMS, but policy making and implementation of federal government of Pakistan is not included in PMS Part 1, but in PMS Part 2 there is a complete understanding and a whole chapter is given to this. Here is the fourth chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is Budgeting and Financial Management. The contents include the budget as a policy tool, the budget as a managerial tool, principles of budgeting, auditing and accounting government, the line item budget, the performance budget, program budgeting, zero-based budgeting and outcome-based budgeting. All these contents are included in PMS syllabus except planning and budgeting in Pakistan, but we have to keep it in our mind that during answering a question in exam, we have to write all the answers with respect to our country, that is Pakistan. Here is the fifth chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is Managing Human Resources. The contents include spoil versus merit system in public employment, personal versus human resources management, closed versus open systems of public employment, functions of human resources management and challenges of adopting human resource management in public sector. All these contents are overlapping with PMS syllabus. Here is the sixth chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is Administrative Law. The contents include meaning, scope and significance of administrative law, nature and contents of administrative law, administrative ethics, delegation of authority and legislation, administrative tribunals, administrative law in Pakistan. This chapter is not included in PMS Part 1 or PMS Part 2. Seventh chapter of CSS Public Administration is Public Management Skills. These include communication, decision-making, conflict management, leading, administrative buffering, managing change, managing diversity, stress management, delegation, public service motivation, creativity and problem solving, issues of public management. All these public management skills are very important throughout the whole subject of public administration. As you can see, the 8th chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is the Civil Services of Pakistan, is overlapping with PMS Part 2. The contents include historical background of civil services, the structure of civil services, history of civil service reforms, management of civil services, institutional and cultural context of civil services, role of civil services in good governance, and gender and civil services. Here is the 9th chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is Organization of Provincial and Local Government. The contents include governance structure of provincial administration, organization of provincial secretariat, organization and functions of provincial authorities and agencies and their relationship with government departments, post-devolution local governance, organization and functions of district government and administration, organization and structure of city district government, issues and challenges of local governance. All these contents are overlapping with the chapter of PMS Part 2. 10th chapter of CSS Public Administration is Governance and Administrative Reforms. The contents include theories of administrative reforms, types of administrative reforms, privatization, regulation, deregulation, decentralization, business reengineering, and quality assurance. All these contents overlap with PMS syllabus except administrative reform in Pakistan. So here is the 11th chapter of CSS Public Administration, that is Public Administration Accountability and Control. The contents which overlap with PMS syllabus are bureaucratic responsiveness, representative bureaucracy, citizens' engagement in public service, accountability and control, the concept and approaches to public accountability of public service, institutional framework for administrative accountability, administrative corruption, and role of civil society in good governance. While the contents which are not included in PMS syllabus are legislative, executive, and judicial control over administration, role of media, interest groups, civil society organizations, and the situation in Pakistan. The last chapter of CSS Public Administration is Public Administration and Development. The contents include role of public administration in development, concept of development administration, difference between development administration and development management, changing role of public administration in development. These contents are overlapping with PMS syllabus except issues and challenges in public administration and the Pakistan situation. So here we are going to start 6 remaining chapters of PMS Part 2. First one is Organization Structure of Federal Government and Administration. The contents include Constitutional Framework for Federal Government, Organization and Functions of Federal Secretariat, Organization and Functions of Federal Agencies, Relationship between Ministries and Federal Agencies or Authorities, Interministerial Coordination, and Organization and Functions of Regulatory Agencies. Next chapter is Intergovernmental Relationship. The contents include administrative relationship between federal government and provincial government, fiscal relationship between federal government and provincial government, administrative and fiscal relationship between provincial government and district government. Next chapter is Public Policy and Planning. The contents include institutional framework for policy coordination and planning, policy and planning process, role of planning commission in policy and planning, strategic planning in federal, provincial government and local government, role of international donors in policy formulation, public policy and implementation in key sectors, that is health and education. So the next chapter is Financial Administration. The contents include structure and functions of revenue administration, budgetary process in the federal, provincial and local government, tax administration, accounting and auditing system, issues and challenges of fiscal decentralization. Next chapter is Managing Human Resources. The contents include institutional framework for recruitment and training of government employees, labor laws, the system of compensation and performance evaluation of government employees, and management of human resources in public enterprises. The last chapter is Development Governance and Management. The content includes approaches to managing development, history of development and public administration with particular references to Pakistan, changing role of bureaucracy in development, role of civil society in development, role of international institutions in development policy and management. As we can see that there is a lengthy syllabus of CSS and PMS public administration, so we will now decide how to tackle the subject of public administration in a very comprehensive way, and we will take a break and prepare ourselves for a complete understanding of this interesting and lengthy subject.